Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. It is cold here in Texarkana, as in like 40 degrees, which I was talking to a lady from Illinois yesterday, and she said, "You've got nothing on us." My name is Natalie Haywood. I'm with the Texarkana Chamber of Commerce. I do all of our events and communications. I look forward to a great program that we have today. And guys, if you've got any questions, be sure to find that chat box. Let us know where you're viewing from. We can see those questions and comments off of Facebook, and YouTube. So let us know, say hello to everybody, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. I have the pleasure of starting with Monty Chamberlain. He's going to talk about employing people with disabilities is good business. And whether unemployment rates are very high or low, numerous businesses across the state experience difficulty in hiring for entry-level positions. Additionally, turnover rates are traditionally high for entry-level positions all across the state of Texas. There are people with disabilities who have set employment as a goal, and they have genuine desire to prove they can be a valuable asset for any business. Monty is going to talk about, he'll share information about this very valuable human resource that can assist businesses, and he will discuss the various benefits disabled individuals can bring to a business with the support they receive from services provided. High attendance and productivity, along with true commitment to a job well done. Mr. Chamberlain will also share real-life examples from across the state of businesses who engaged in hiring a disabled person and how those employed individuals many times set the benchmark in production for other employees. Information will also be shared on local resources to tap into who support disabled individuals and who have set employment as a goal. So let me introduce Monty for you. Monty Chamberlain is the Employment Recruitment Coordinator for the Texas Health and Human Services Commissions, the HHSC. In this role, Mr. Chamberlain is responsible for networking with employers across the state of Texas to share information about the many values disabled individuals can bring to an employer. He has 36 years of state government experience. He began his career with the Texas Department of Transportation and worked with that agency for 18 years. And for the last 18 years, he has been with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. Within that 18 years, for the last 5 years, Mr. Chamberlain has been in his present position working across the state to educate employers and provide increased employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. So with that being said, I'm going to let Mr. Monty jump on here. Hey, Monty, how are you?
Doing well. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on with us. Now, you're tuning in from where?
Well, in my case, I report to Austin, Texas, but I'm tuning in from South Texas, at least along the coastal area. I'm located between Houston and Victoria, Texas, if anyone knows where that is.
Okay. Are you on the coast there, or?
I'm about 30 miles off the water as the crow flies.
Nice, nice. What's your weather like today?
It is sunny outside. It was about 40 overnight. Not much different than Texarkana, but it's great. It'll be great until Sunday, it looks like. So very nice today. I'll have to get outside this afternoon when I get the chance.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, if you're ready to jump on in, I'll let you take the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the Texarkana Chamber of Commerce for having me today. I appreciate that. And I always enjoy anytime I can make a presentation to folks from Texarkana, because I think it's the only state, or only city rather, I can ever present in that has people who live in and maybe work in one state and live in another state. So that's always kind of a unique situation. Today, what I want to talk to you about is I have the unique privilege of working with employers around the state to help educate them about the extremely valuable commodity of that being individuals with disabilities, who can be an awesome asset, an awesome human resource to people, to employers around the state. And this awesome resource is also a group that can help with difficult to fill positions, help reduce turnover at employment sites, etc. And another thing I'll talk about today is the incredible resources that when you hire someone with a disability, a resource meaning a job coach that can come with that person. And what I want to focus on today more specifically is individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And the reason I focus on that so hard are more specifically is because those individuals are many times overlooked. There are stereotypes developed that folks in the community may think that those individuals do not even set the goal of employment. The fact is they receive services for assistance because they deserve the services due to their diagnosis, but those folks actually set the goal to go to work. And just simply given the opportunity, they become an incredible asset to an organization. Before I talk too much and go into the visual presentation, they say that a picture can paint 1,000 words. So with Natalie's assistance, I'd like for you to view a short video, which will just tell you who it is we serve, who we're talking about, and some of the employment sites with a profile here of 3 gentlemen who work in the community. So Natalie, would you be able to share that video?
I believe everybody, disabled or not, deserves a chance to make something of themselves. What I'm looking for as an employer is somebody who's motivated to work.
It's really important that people with disabilities are given the chance to work because they are so dedicated and they love their jobs and they love coming to work.
People have a choice of where they're going to spend their money. It could be for price, it could be for location or product, but it's also what the company stands for. So it's really important that businesses hire people that reflect the community.
It is good business to hire people with disabilities because it strengthens and adds diversity to a team.
Clarence is a courtesy clerk here, and he sacks customers' groceries, and then he takes them out to the car.
He just wants to help. He's that giving type person.
I'm a bagger. I sweep the stores and the floors up at Food Town.
He's self-motivated and has a great work ethic. It tends to rub off on other employees as well.
He's worked for our company since 2008. We're very proud and appreciative to have Clarence on our team.
Clarence has exceptional customer service skills. He brings a smile to work every day, and he knows more people by name here than I do.
Cole is a shining example of somebody who loves his job and loves his work.
I like working at Home Depot because I like helping customers.
What's unique about Cole is his zest for wanting to figure out things and offer more and be able to solve problems for both customers and associates.
We have a Home Depot app where you can look up products and locations, and he does not hesitate to assist customers when they come in.
He almost knows the entire store like the back of his hand, so if I have a question, I have no problem going to him and getting the right answer.
There's been a few times that we've been out and I've had Cole with me, and people will come up and they're like, "Is that your son?" They've told me stories of how I was in Home Depot the other day, and he's just such a great worker.
I have good friends at work.
I can't thank Cole enough for being the guy that he is, and the attitude that he brings to this store just makes it enjoyable for everybody.
Customers have a lot going on in their lives and their day, and they come in here to get help for whatever need it may be, and that smile to kind of help them know that we're here to serve and here to take care of them is something that we spend a lot of time training our associates, but with Cole, it's an automatic every time.
He's a great employee, and there's not a lot that I have to do other than just encourage him, fill his tank, and let him know he's doing a great job.
Eric makes a friend out of everybody. Everybody he talks to loves him.
I like everybody.
The first time I met him, he told me, I work all day and I work hard. And that is true. Eric is one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. He does everything with a smile and a positive attitude.
He's very positive. He comes into work very high energy, and that energy transfers to our guests and to our employees.
That's something that warms my heart to see that Eric has found a second home with his coworkers there at Whataburger.
Whataburger is my family.
There are so many people in place from the state level to the local level to make sure that each one of our individuals is supported.
Employers find out it's an advantage to their business because it makes their customers understand they too are compassionate.
After watching Clarence work, I've gone ahead and hired several other people with disabilities and watched them grow with the company as well.
You're going to get an employee that wants to be there. You're going to get an employee that's going to show up on time. You're going to get an employee that's going to give you 100% every day that they show up. And they're going to make a positive impact on your company.
It's incredibly important for any business to reflect their community and give that individual a chance to show what they can really bring to the table.
It's a great opportunity for everyone. No one misses out.
Represents three gentlemen working at different locations, and this is just these are just three examples actually of situations where folks who receive services they did set the goal of employment, and that means working in an integrated competitive setting. So that's just jobs that you and I would want out in the community. And so what I'm going to spend the rest of my time is talking to you a little bit about who it is we serve, the awesome human resource asset those individuals can be to an employer. And again, doing two things here. I want employers to know that this resource is available, this human resource is available, and they have great desire to work, but also the supports that they receive and how these employees could be a tremendous asset to help reduce turnover, innovation that they bring, etc. So first off, starting off, recipients that we serve, and I say we, I work for HHSC based out of Austin, but there's a team. This is a big team around the state that makes things happen. So we have HHSC, then we have the local authority for a given area, 38, I believe 39 of those around the state of Texas. And for you guys in the Texarkana area, that is Community Health Corps is your local authority. And I believe possibly viewing today with us, I see Ms. Sandra Taylor. She's the Director of IDD Services for Community Health Corps. Locally to you in Texarkana is Sherry Edwards, and also Ms. Tiffany Simmons. So they may be on here as well today viewing. But the largest program around the state that we have services offered under is the Home and Community-Based Services Program. There are several others as well. Now, who are we trying to talk about here? Who are we trying to help and bring awareness of? Well, of course, as I mentioned earlier, individuals, primarily what I'm focusing on is those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I center on that very specifically because there are many times they're overlooked. You may know of these individuals living in your community, excuse me, but many employers do not even realize that the individuals served, those individuals actually set the goal to work in the community alongside other folks, and they turn out to be an awesome resource. So a couple of terms I want to familiarize you with. LIDDA, L-I-D-D-A, Local Intellectual and Developmental Disability Authority. That's the Community Health Corps for you, which I mentioned a moment ago, and some of the key names. That's who you can tap into to identify and learn about folks who have set the goal to want to go to work. And then also this term, job coaches, an incredible resource. A job coach is someone who's highly trained to work with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and it is free to the employer. A job coach can come to the job, and based on negotiation between the employer and the local authority, meaning Community Health Corps in your case, or the private provider that works under them, the job coach can come to the job site, train the individual, and based on discussion and how much time is needed, stay with the individual until they're fully trained, and then slowly wean off. And then you might introduce new tasks down the road. The job coach can come back into the picture, and that can be your liaison to help solve a lot of issues also, if you even have any, with someone that we serve who you hire. We want to focus on someone's ability as opposed to the disability. The fact that someone has a disability is what we're talking about, but let's talk about the many positives that someone with a disability brings to the job site. One of the main things is they are out-of-the-box thinkers. Why are they out-of-the-box thinkers? Well, I want to touch just a second on that. Many people, myself included, we wake up every morning, jump out of bed, hit our day, and don't think a lot about the steps we're taking. Well, you know, the fact is, for someone with a disability, especially a notable, significant physical disability, the first challenge of the day can start when they wake up, just simply navigating through the day, how to get moving, and the time it takes. Well, you know what? Because of that challenge, the various challenges they face in life, they become innovators. Innovators how to work through the day. Innovators how to do things that many of us take for granted. And that type of innovation transcends into the job environment. And they demonstrate themselves as innovators and out-of-the-box thinkers to solve problems on the job site. Now, there are some myths versus actual facts that employers need to know about when they hire someone with a disability. I'm going to touch on only just a few here. And by the way, I am monitoring the comments. If anyone has a question, I have the comment box that I'm monitoring if you have any questions. One myth, just one I'm going to touch on first. Many employers think that if I hire someone with a disability, it's going to make my workers' compensation rates go up. Well, that's false. Workers' compensation rates are determined by the hazard of the occupation and the number of accidents you have. Simply who you hire is not going to cause those rates to go up. And as a matter of fact, the folks that we serve, data proves that they're less likely to have an accident on the job because they're so cognizant of what they're doing and so focused and just determined to do a good job, they're not typically accident prone. Another myth, employers may think that creating accommodations for people with disabilities is going to be very expensive. Well, the fact is that the folks that we serve that you might hire, most of them will require no accommodation whatsoever to do the job at hand. But the data across the United States proves that for those employers that have had to provide an accommodation for an employee with a disability, it's an average of $500. And they see a huge return on that small investment. Let's talk about this one. Many employers may think that when I hire someone with a disability, because of maybe some physical challenges they have, they're going to be less able to come to work. In other words, they're going to be absent more often. Well, you know what? It's the exact opposite. Employers with disabilities are more apt to be there at work, and they're very focused on not being absent. Matter of fact, they are also on time. And a quick little story. You saw Eric, who worked at Whataburger in that video. Eric, when he got that job, he took the city bus system and started showing up to work 2 hours early every day. The employer said, "We can't have this. We can't have him coming to work this early. We can't put him to work, before his shift, etc." So they worked with the service provider and were able to work with Eric to stop showing up to work 2 hours early and negotiated it down where he's showing up 30 minutes to work early. They said, okay, we can live with that. How many of you as employers around would appreciate people simply showing up to work on time? Every employer would love that. And when you get an employee who wants to show up to work early, that's a huge bonus. There are some tax credits for very small businesses for hiring people with disabilities, and they're not huge, but you can check with the IRS on that if you wanted to investigate it. But the main thing that you're going to see, not government funding or tax breaks, the main thing you're going to see is a great return on your investment for hiring someone with a disability. And I'm going to stress a few of those things again. It's when you hire someone that we serve, possibly for an entry-level position, typically entry-level positions have high turnover. And if you want to stop the bleeding, you would hire someone we serve, and they're going to stay with you. They're going to be dedicated. They may even experience the opportunity to grow in your organization, but they can be a huge asset for assisting you with high turnover positions. Also, when you hire someone with a disability, you may notice, by the way, I haven't talked a lot about this is a nice thing to do. The fact is, yeah, it's nice, but I want you to focus on why it is a good business decision. It's a good business decision to hire people with a disability because of the return on the investment. But you are going to strike a positive with your community when you hire someone with a disability. And the fact is, it represents your community, who lives in your community. It represents diversity, and your customers will appreciate when they know that you're hiring everyone who represents your community. And folks with disabilities can be a huge asset in that. I mentioned earlier that individuals with disabilities are innovators. I want to stress that again. They will bring innovation to the job site. They're out-of-the-box thinkers for the very reason I noted earlier. And they will be problem solvers. They will be trendsetters that other employers will see the benchmark they set and then want to keep up with them. So, to stress a few of the key points, employees with disabilities will have job performance equal to or higher than the employees without disabilities. You will see higher retention rates. So this again, stressing entry-level positions, it's an awesome resource. And they are experienced problem solvers because of the challenges they faced in life. They bring that skill set to the job site. One other thing I want to touch on is I want to go back and stressing the local resource. I have the unique privilege traveling around the state, or really did until last March. And when things break loose, I'll do more traveling. We won't be doing so much virtual. But I get to spread the word, okay? That's a unique, awesome opportunity. I used to be a bean counter in all my other years, but in the last 5 years, after having an opportunity to, they saw that I could talk a little bit, so I got the opportunity to participate in this project. So I get to spread the word. But we have some awesome horsepower on the ground around the state, and I want you to remember the name Community Health Corps. Tap into that resource. I'm going to call them your talent agent. They know who lives in your area, who they serve, who has set employment as a goal. Community Health Corps, the local intellectual and developmental disability authority. They can assist you. Just simply call up Sherry Edwards locally and ask for her if you call Community Health Corps and say, I want to talk to Sherry about employing someone that Community Health Corps serves or one of the private providers around the area serve. Community Health Corps is going to be your talent agent to tell you who they're serving that has set employment as a goal, and they will help you and help that person to determine if this is a good fit. I noticed Patty has put a link to Community Health Corps' Facebook page, so you would want to take a look at that. And I get the privilege of working with those other 38 around the state as well. Their Community Health Corps, in this case, serves many counties. One other thing I want to talk to you about is if you're a business and should you so desire, this is a sample of our employer page. If you would like your logo on this page to demonstrate that you support this, you support hiring people with disabilities, with your permission and simply signing a permission sheet, we will put your company logo on our page with a link to whatever page you want to go back to on your site. It could be your employer page, employment page, but that's your choice. With that being said, it does not mean you're promising to hurry up and hire anyone. It simply means that you get it, that you support it, and you would consider hiring the folks we serve just as you would anyone else. And it is some free publicity for your company, quite frankly. This is my contact information. I'll let you look at that if you want to write it down. I'm the statewide person who can help you link in to resources. Let's say you happen to be viewing today, or you view this after the fact, and maybe you're not in Texarkana and you want to know who is a resource that you could talk to in your area. Feel free to call me. Feel free to email me. This is my old email address that changed just a few weeks ago, but it will still link to me. But if you want to take a moment to write down my current email address, it's the same on the monty.chamberlain, but the extension is at hhs.texas.gov. At this moment, it's 9:28, so I want to yield a couple of moments if Natalie had any questions she received that I'm not seeing on the comment board, but also to say thank you again. I want to say to everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Natalie, for setting this up after we reached out to you a few weeks ago. I appreciate you setting up this forum, and we would love to talk to any employer. And even if you're not an employer, you can help spread the word with those businesses where you spend your money in your community. But I would love to talk to you in the future and help connect you with those local resources. So Natalie, I'll turn it back to you in case you had anything that I didn't see on the comment board.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That was super helpful. So I do have a question myself. Whenever it comes to vetting those employees, what kind of vetting process do they go through before they become, in your, do you get the chance to interview them and vet them yourself? What do they go through before they get to you?
Okay, not so much what I would, when I think of the word vetting and just the way I'm using it, it's like we would screen them. Not really, okay? We want any employer who wants to hire someone. They don't have to be unique. We want folks who want to think out of the box. You saw someone working at a grocery store. That's pretty typical what you think about for folks we serve. You saw someone working at a fast food restaurant. But there are a myriad of settings where the folks we serve could be an awesome asset. So I would love to make the first contact with employers to help do marketing, right? And to learn about what their setup is and help them think through some innovative ways that maybe we could help them with their employment resource needs. But what I really want to do, if employers will talk to us, is get them connected with those local talent agents, in this case, Community Health Corps. So we're not going to screen anyone out, so to speak, but if they want to open the door, we want to talk.
Absolutely. So your side of things at the state of Texas is more so working with those employees, and then Community Health Corps, for instance, in Texarkana, works with you work more with the employer, they work more with the employees. Is that correct?
Yes, well, and that's kind of actually twofold. I would work with the employer and Community Health Corps in this case, okay? I want to get the contact with the employer. Now, Community Health Corps works with the individuals they serve who become the employee and the employer. So they're that go-between once the wheels start really turning, and they're going to be that constant. This is another thing I want to stress. They're going to be there, constantly available when the employer needs something after they've hired the person. So they're going to always be the go back to, whereas the average employee doesn't have something like that. If you have trouble with the employee or they're having difficulty with something, that's it, and Community Health Corps can step in and help solve problems sometimes, if there is even one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Monty. We appreciate you reaching out to the Texarkana Chamber and everything you do for our region and for the state of Texas. We just greatly appreciate it. If you don't mind, if you can post in those comments maybe your telephone number so we can go back and see that in the comments section, and your email address, your current email address would be wonderful. Do you mind doing that for us?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll move on to our next segment here, and I have the pleasure of working with Goodwill Industries as well on our Second segment of this presentation, Goodwill Industries of Arkansas has provided education, training, and employment services to individuals with barriers to employment since 1927. This session will discuss how Goodwill's service model impacts the state of Arkansas with business practices that promote and support diversity and inclusion, accommodations, and resources from community partners to support individuals with disabilities. We've got two presenters coming up. Our first one is Ms. Danielle Hunter. She's the Director of Mission Services at Goodwill Industries of Arkansas. She's responsible for leading and directing all programs related to reentry, disability, life coaching, and mission-related supports and partnerships. She's a member of the National Association of People Supporting Employment First, National Career Development Association, Arkansas Rehabilitation Assistive Technology Council, and the Arkansas Interagency Transition Partnership. In addition, she's a global career development facilitator, as well as a nationally accredited certified career services provider and certified employment support professional. So she's got a lot of accolades there. A native Arkansan, Tennille holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, Big City. Her most important role in that of being a mom to Ethan, and she has currently reside in Little Rock. So Tennille, let me go ahead and introduce Kaylee as well, so I don't have to interrupt you guys. Kaylee will take over the second portion of the Goodwill presentation. Her name's Kaylee Henson, and she's the Mission Services Manager at Goodwill Industries of Arkansas. She's responsible for overseeing internal and external mission support programs. She support programs, disability services, and community service and volunteer programs. Kaylee holds a master's degree in counseling with an emphasis on rehabilitation counseling, a bachelor's degree in social work, and a certified employment support professional, and has certified knowledge of supported employment accredited by the Association of Community Rehabilitation Educators. I want to make sure I get that right. The acronym for that is ACRE, Association of Community Rehabilitation Educators. She's a native Arkansan and resides in Benton, Arkansas with her family. So ladies, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Let's add you to the stream here. Thank you so much for being with us today. Tennille, are you going to start us off?
Yes, I will start off the presentation. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tennille Hunter, as Natalie said before. Natalie, thank you guys for reaching out and having us today to be able to present this information to the Chamber. Very important work that you guys are doing, and thank you again. So I'm with Goodwill Industries of Arkansas. So our territory comprises all four corners of the state, which includes the Arkansas side of the Texarkana region. And so today we're going to be talking about developing a disability inclusive workplace. As a employer with over 40 locations across the state, this is something that we run into fairly often. We've worn many hats in the disability realm. For many years, we were a disability provider, and we've recently gone through some restructure with our mission model. And now we've kind of turned those supports and accommodations that we were doing in the community for our clients inward, and now we're supporting our employees who have identified as having a disability within the organization. To give you a little bit of information about Goodwill, Goodwill Industries period was started back in 1902 by Dr. Edgar Helms in Boston. There was an opportunity for him to provide free clothing from certain communities to give to the less fortunate. And so from that, he championed the idea of employing people to be able to work on these clothing items and be able to give them back to the community via selling them. And so his idea was that everyone has potential to work, and work provides dignity and empowerment for all individuals. So Goodwill Industries of Arkansas was founded in the state in 1927 by a group of community leaders who recognized a strong need for training and employment for those without job skills. Since that time, we have continued to expand our capabilities to satisfy our mission. And so our mission is very simple. Our mission is changing lives through education, training, and employment. And so that 3-point mission applies to every Arkansan within our state. And there is opportunity to serve all of these individuals, no matter what their barrier to education, training, and employment is. And, you know, our ultimate goal is to provide a higher level of independence for these individuals. And so they can, in turn, contribute back to the community and live happy and healthy lives. Some of our basic programs that we offer here within Goodwill, we have what's called the Excel Center in Arkansas, the first of its kind in adult high school for individuals 19 years or over can come and get their actual high school diploma, not an equivalent. We have what's called the Academy at Goodwill. That is a state license credentialing entity where individuals can come and get certificates in welding, environmental services training, CPR first aid, mental health. Right now, we've had a big push with a lot of employers who are seeking mental health first aid training for their staff members with so much going on in the world right now. And we offer a litany of other related trainings that could either benefit your staff, your employees, and the public at large. We also offer career services where anyone who is seeking employment can reach out to us. We've established a virtual presence where individuals can come and work with us online, and we can help them find a job. We also offer opportunities for employers to interact with those individuals and pair those employers up with those Arkansans who are seeking employment in the community. We have our reentry services programs where we worked with individuals who are judicially influenced, who have run into trouble with the law at some point in their lives and they're ready to get their lives back on track. We have our mission services, which is kind of a catch-all, and Kaylee can talk to you about that a little bit more later regarding our internal supports for our employees. We have life coaches for our employees. We provide job coaches for our employees, those who identify as having disabilities, and a lot of those other wraparound services that help to ensure that our employees are served well so they can in turn be really good ambassadors of our mission across the state, whether they work in our stores or administration or in our workforce development programs. Quick statistics for last fiscal year. We served over 13,000 people and placed over 4,800 individuals in jobs regardless of their barrier. Why does disability employment matter? According to a poll conducted in 2004, as many as 90% of children with disabilities are living at poverty level 3 years after graduation. Only 1 out of 10 persons with a developmental disability will achieve integrated competitive employment, and most earn less than $2.40 an hour in a sheltered workshop. And, you know, the beauty about, you know, seeing what that area of opportunity is Goodwill has partnered with, on the Arkansas side, we've partnered with our local state vocational rehabilitation agencies to help lift individuals out of poverty and give them a fighting chance in terms of employment and really being able to provide for their families. A few more statistics. Over 22% of adults in the US have some type of disability, whether mobility, related cognition, independent living, vision, self-care. Over 2 in 5 adults ages 65 or older have some type of disability, 1 in 4 women, and 2 in 5 Hispanic American Indians, Alaska Natives have some type of disability as well. And so, you know, it's all about perspective. You know, each of us has a varying perspective, including individuals with disabilities. You know, when we're developing our programs and thinking about how we do our operations as it pertains to our employees, we try to make sure we see things from all sides. And so I always like to show this diagram here where you're literally looking at the colors and trying to say the color and not the word. And it always kind of makes you stop and pause and think about, well, I may need to pause and think about how I'm saying this or how I'm doing this in a different way, because you just never know how your work is affecting others. So I'm going to show a quick video. It's funny, it's very lighthearted, and it basically shows you what not to do when you're working with an individual with a disability in the workplace. So I'll play that now.
Hey, Tanil, we're having trouble hearing that on our end. If you want to go ahead and do that one more time, you can remove your share screen there. Guys, thank you so much for holding on with us here. But, I wanted to jump in while she's working on that. I wrote a paper when I was in, gosh, I guess it was middle school or high school, about an individual with a disability that worked at Chick-fil-A. And I saw this person and just was amazed by their work ethic, their ability to carry out a task, and I think that really is just, I think we've all seen someone like that. That's really what we're hitting on today. All right, Tanila, get that queued up for us there? All right, thank you.
Let's try it again.
All right.
Okay. People need to be more specific.
The easiest way to show respect is to focus on the person, not the disability. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it.
One easy way to focus on the person is to watch the person signing and not their interpreter.
Or their companion.
It's really cool that you like to help, but do us both a favor and please ask me first. What you think might be helping? I got you. Wait, oh no, might actually not.
If you'd like to offer me help, let me hold on to your elbow. Don't take mine.
Hey, would you like to take mine?
Sure.
Assistive devices help us to live our lives. They're really important and really personal.
Grabbing them only makes it weird for everyone.
But please only touch our devices and service animals if we've given you permission. And don't take it personally if I ask you not to. Remember that my service animal helps me all the time. Neither of us would like it if we were separated.
Remember, we make our own decisions. We sign documents, vote, volunteer, work, and pay taxes.
We get married.
So don't judge me just because I have a great smile.
Just because I'm blind does not mean I'm deaf.
Just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I'm blind.
And just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't sweep you off your feet.
So take a deep breath, relax. We don't bite.
Unless we're really hungry.
Hello, lady. How are you?
Hello. And if you're not sure what to do, just ask.
Hi, would you still like to see a menu?
No thanks, but can you please read it to me?
Sure, definitely.
Just treat us the way you would want to be treated, and we'll all be okay.
Morning. Good morning. Morning, Alice.
Awkward no more. Nice job, Bob. Go forth and be human. There's no need to be awkward.
All right, everyone. So that was a little glimpse into some best practices and some things that may not be considered appropriate when you're working with an individual with a disability in the workplace. So the best rule of thumb is if you don't know, ask. Don't assume, and let the person take the lead in terms of letting you know what their needs are and how they want you to help. So I'll go over, for the sake of time, I'll kind of skim through some of this, but I do want to share some of suggested strategies from Department of Labor, Office of Disability Employment Policy regarding inclusive strategies. And at the end of the presentation, there will be a list of links for everyone to be able to access this information at their leisure. So some suggested strategies from ODEP, Office of Disability Employment Policy, include embracing inclusive strategies, creating an inclusive culture, recruiting and hiring, and retaining and advancing their employees. So some tax incentives that are very helpful, and I know Monty touched on this earlier, is the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, where you can get up to $2,400 for hiring an individual who qualifies in that category. Excuse me, there's the Disabled Access Tax Credit that you can also look at for that. And also there's an architectural and transportation barrier removal deduction that you can deduct up to $15,000 for making a facility or public transportation vehicle more accessible and more usable by individuals with disabilities. And all of this information can be found at the Job Accommodation Network website. A few more things regarding inclusion at work, the framework for building a disability inclusive organization. There's an organization called the Employer Assistance and Resource Network on Disability Inclusion. They're referred to as EARN. They're a free resource that helps employers tap the benefits of disability diversity by educating public and private sector organizations such as ourselves on ways to build inclusive workplace cultures. They offer information and resources to empower individuals and organizations to become leaders in the employment and advancement of people with disabilities. So a couple of things regarding communication, a couple of best practices in that area is expressly integrating disability into company-wide diversity and inclusion statements and initiatives, informal expressions of commitment from top leadership. So within any organization, it's very important that when you're pushing new initiatives, you have support at the very top level, so it then trickles down to the ground level, and everybody has bought in, and there's a buy-in across the board with pushing these initiatives. Conducting employee engagement surveys to gather input on whether the workplace environment is accessible and inclusive. Looking at hiring processes and building pipelines, adopting a promotion policy that includes disability among positive selection factors, looking at ensuring representation of existing employees with disabilities in the onboarding process, for example, as part of orientation presentations and welcome committees. And that's, as part of organizations large and small, that's an area of opportunity everyone has when you're doing your onboarding and your training. Be sure to include individuals with disabilities who may have visual or hearing impairments. You may need large print, so that that set of information is accessible to everyone, no matter what their barrier is. And sometimes, we're moving so fast we don't think about it, but sometimes it's always worth to stop and think to make sure that everyone who needs the information has access to it. Productivity, measuring success, being tech savvy, using accessible online recruiting platforms and products to ensure, your websites can be accessed by screen readers, adopting a website ICT accessibility policy, and looking at adopting and communicating written reasonable accommodation policies and procedures for processing requests. To ensure that your employees know that you are available for them to assist with any accommodations that they may have, so they're not, don't feel the need to not ask because they're unsure that the company will support them. So it's always good to be proactive and stay in front of the ball on that, to say, hey, we're here for you, how can we help? And so you can get that input and feedback. So how does Goodwill help? We have a model called Access to Success within our organization, where we'd like to have inclusive hiring practices throughout the agency, providing work supports and accommodations, and work experience volunteer opportunities within our stores. Just to let you guys know, we have The last number I received from our HR department is we have about 6% of our employees. We have over 1,000 employees across the state, and about 6% of our employees have identified as having a disability. And so we've done a lot of pushing and a lot of internal communications to ensure that our employees know that in the event that they have an accommodation, if they have questions, if their managers have needs, they can contact us and we can help them mitigate those. And so now I'm going to switch over to Kaylee Henson, our mission manager, and she's going to take over the second part of the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. And like Ms. Hunter said, my name is Kaylee Henson. I'm the Mission Services Manager at Goodwill. And so at Goodwill, we really see diversity as a strength. And I know here we're talking about disabilities specifically, but we really want to include all varieties in all areas. So we have policies where we recruit, train, and hire, promote, compensate without any regard to race, color, religion, age, sex, or national origin. We make these policies and we really ensure in all of our departments that we promote the idea that diversity is a strength within our company. So who does Goodwill serve? We call the individuals that we serve our persons serve. These are the individuals who use our services. We also have career services for all in our career centers. We really believe that we can change people's lives through work. We eliminate barriers. We've been through the job seeker experience, all of us has. So using those experiences, we can better help the individuals that we serve. And Goodwill employees can use the same services. So the services that we have are for the community, but we also help the employees that work for Goodwill. Our mission and action, we really believe dignity in work. Everybody deserves the opportunity to work. Everyone has potential, and work is more than a paycheck. And we all know this. We all have jobs, and yes, we all have jobs because we need money to live, but also that that's our work culture. We have relationships while we're at work, and we keep this in mind when we're helping individuals with disabilities with finding work, because we want to put them in an environment that supports them and also put them in an employment opportunity where they can serve the employer. So this is one of our individuals that we served. His name is Austin, and he consented to be in any Goodwill marketing material and share his story. And what he did when he was at Goodwill and he was training in our disability services area is that he said that he really wanted to work for Goodwill, which in our disability services area, they have the opportunity to work either within the organization or look for outside employment in the community. But he said that he really liked Goodwill and he really wanted to stay with Goodwill. And one of the strengths that Goodwill has is that we really believe in having work experiences that tie into what the individual wants to do for competitive employment. And in this case, Austin really wanted to stay within the company. So we used a volunteer opportunity within the organization to where we went to a Goodwill store that he lives close to. And we said, do you have any positions open? If you do, he would really like to volunteer here so that he can actually do the job that you're hiring for, and you can see his strengths, and so that maybe that volunteer opportunity can turn into a paid position. He did this for a week and he was instantly hired, and he's been working there for almost 3 years. He really loves it. He's learned to do more than the position that he was hired for. His employer is really happy with the situation. And so, and we do this in all areas of Goodwill. So in Austin's case, he works in a retail store, but we also have in our business center, we have an IT department, and we have individuals who have IT backgrounds or are interested in learning more about IT shadow in our IT area. The same can be said with all areas of Goodwill. We use that as volunteer opportunities so that they can have work experiences that tie into what they want to do for employment. Our internal culture at Goodwill, it shows how we treat others, and we say internal and external customers. So our internal customers is everybody that works at Goodwill. And our ACE culture, the amazing customer experience, is our model that builds the culture within Goodwill, saying that we want to show amazing customer experience to everyone, inside or outside the organization. And we use this as kind of like a reward system. So if you show amazing customer experience to somebody, then you get a little ACE. I have a blank one right here. And you just kind of fill out what the good act that was done. And that really helps build a culture, because it's like if you're reinforcing the mission of Goodwill, then you get a little slip that just says what you did, and then you can turn in those ACEs and get maybe a day off, half a day off. And so it really helps build the culture of Goodwill. And to go on and keep talking about culture, some aspects of culture are visible and some are not. So the little slip, that's a visual part of culture, but then how is that reinforced? Well, we want to keep showing amazing customer experience to each other. And that includes, individuals with disabilities that work within the organization, and just reinforces treating everybody with respect, treating everybody that there's dignity in work. And some of these are visible and some of these are not, but it's good that we have culture in mind when we're thinking about helping individuals with disabilities find employment. And inclusive language and actions, that helps drive culture as well, because if it's within your culture to use a person-first language, so an individual who's deaf, an individual who is blind, instead of saying a blind person, that shows that you're putting the person before their disability, which their disability, it's not all who they are. And it's important that we recognize that. And then here's a table of person-first language. And I actually have a chart next to my desk, just because I don't know who I'm going to interact with. And it's important for me to stay up to date on what person-first language is, because I don't want to offend anybody by accident. And there are times where I really don't know. And so I will ask the person, how do you want me to address you? And nowadays it's like, what are your pronouns? Those are very important, because by you asking, you're showing that that's important to you. And so a few of these, person with a disability, you don't want to say the disabled or the handicapped, because that's like saying that that's all they are, and that's not true. A person who uses a wheelchair, they're not restricted to their wheelchair, so you don't want to say that they're bound to it. And this is just a good little chart to keep with you, especially if you work with individuals with disabilities on a regular basis, or if it's something that you just want to learn, so that to help you in your professional and personal lives. Okay, so these are examples of accommodations and work support in the workplace. So a situation, an individual who's deaf that works at Goodwill in a retail store. So what is an accommodation that can best support that? Goodwill provides an ASL interpreter for store meetings, and the store manager provides written instructions on tasks. There are a lot of different accommodations out there. Some have a cost, but most of them don't have a cost. And this cost here is minimal, because they're using the ASL interpreter only for store meetings, but they're providing, free accommodations for the day-to-day work life, which is riding back and forth. Another situation is an individual who is blind or visually impaired has an office position. So what's an accommodation that can be used for this? That if this works for the individual, they can be given assistive technology to magnify and contrast their screen. As long as they're able to, have the tools needed, they can do the job the same as anybody else. So best practices for working with individuals who are blind. So if someone is blind and you are working with them and this is your first experience working with them, you're not really sure. Here are some just short little tips on how you can best practice be in that situation with them. So introduce yourself, offer to shake their hand and let them know that you're offering to shake their hand. Just yesterday in the outlet store, the store manager called me and said that they had an individual that was in the store that's blind and needed some help shopping. And so I went out and offered to be a sighted guide and took him around the store and just let him know before I came up to him, just said, "Hi, my name is Kaylee. Do you need help looking for things in the store?" And he said yes. And I verbalized, "Here's my arm. Can you, it's to your left, and then I will guide you around the store if that's okay with you." And I always ask for consent. Is this what you want? Do you want me to do something else? Because I'm there to assist them. Don't shout, they are blind or have a visual disability. That doesn't mean they're deaf. Don't omit words like see or look. So you don't want to say, or you don't have to omit those words. So, but if you're with someone who's blind, you don't want to say, see that. Of course, in that situation, that's not a good example. But if you're just using it in a sentence, you don't have to omit those words. Speak directly to the person, offer your arm for assistance, and don't push or pull if they are using your arm, because that could be very frightening to that individual. And then for individuals who are deaf, introduce yourself, speak to the person. Even though you don't know what their hearing levels are, you still want to try to treat them like everybody else. Offer to write back and forth with them. If an interpreter is being used, don't speak to the interpreter, still speak to the person. Try to get their attention before speaking, because they rely on facial cues, so it's good that you are looking at them while you're talking. And you can use gestures and visual cues for that. So I'm going to play a video. This is an individual that works for Goodwill who wanted to share his story.
My mom suggested that I go to work at Goodwill, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. Before, we didn't have an interpreter, and we'd have to write back and forth, and I would ask to get an interpreter, and then finally we were able to get an interpreter for the meetings. And from here on out, it made me feel good. It made me be able to understand everything, and I could understand the sign clearly and didn't have to depend on the reading and misunderstanding the reading.
The very first day, he was trying to hand me a phone to have me answer that phone, and I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I answered the phone, and then I turned to him and realized that, of course, he can't hear the phone ringing. So it started a good, healthy relationship just by him playing jokes. My inspiration to learn the sign language was because Goodwill's core values are respect and explore. So I needed to be able to communicate better with him. I needed to be able to respect him in the aspect of, hey, let's not sit here and write down with pencil and paper. We need to be able to communicate with him one-on-one. I didn't want to do the cell phone every time we needed to talk. I just wanted to be able to communicate directly with him and show him that I supported him and wanted to learn it for not only his sake, but for anyone else that was on the team that could benefit from it.
I was able to discuss more in sign language and not only just having to write back and forth and using pointing. My main thing is within electronics. But sometimes I also help with the donor door, with the wares. I just really am a floater. If they need me, I'm there to help them. Easy work, and it's easy communication with the people here. I've been here with the company for 4 years, and I've been able to develop and continue to grow and learn new things. I hope that Goodwill continues to get better and continues to hire more deaf and hard of hearing people, and that we continue to have closed caption and just continue to promote the deaf community.
Oh, I'm still learning every day. Every day I'm learning. He's teaching a lot. We have another hearing impaired person on the team, so I'm learning through both of them.
How long do you plan on keep on working for Goodwill?
Until I retire. I made a promise with my mom that that's what I would do. And my mom's in heaven right now, so I'm gonna make sure that I keep that promise for her.
And so in this situation, the store manager, Rory, decided that she wanted to learn a sign language so that she could better communicate with her employee. And that's a really good example of our core values, which one of them is explore. And she really just in her heart wanted to learn so that she could better communicate with Sean. And here are some local resources, and what I can do is I can copy these and put these in the comments so that y'all can access them. And then here is mine and Miss Tennille Hunter's contact information. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kaylee. We really appreciate that. And Tennille, thank you as well. We, here at the Chamber, we try to deliver content to our members, and beyond that, we just try to deliver things that touch them where they are, that brings information to them as a business, and we just appreciate you sharing your stories and just what you guys do on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to add Monty in here too, just so we can wrap up. Hey, Monty, welcome back. Just wanted to thank you guys for this presentation, and I didn't have a ton of questions come in, so if anybody has a question, feel free to throw it in the comments there, and we'll try to get to it. I had a question though for Tennille and Kaylee. Is there an age limit of employees that you can service?
No, there's not an age limit. As long as they are ready to work and want to work, we will work with any individual.
Okay, cool. All right. I loved your chart that you put in there about language and what to use and what not to use. It's hard to know that if you're not used to working around someone with a disability, so it's good to have that. If you can put that in the comments as well, that would be wonderful, and link to that chart.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do y'all have anything else to add to your presentation today?
Not me, thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and sign off here. Absolutely. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and everyone's provided their contact information. So feel free to reach out to Kaylee or Tennille or Monty or myself. If you have any ideas for content for us to cover, any speakers that you have, feel free to reach out to me. I will add my contact information in the chat as well. And feel free to call the Chamber office and we'll get you with somebody. We have sponsorship opportunities available for these presentations, so if you're interested in that, let me know. And also just watch our calendar. If you're a member of the Chamber, you get that emailed to you regularly so that you'll know when these type of presentations are going to go on. So we appreciate everyone, and we're going to sign off now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.